I know you're going to relate to this. I was never successful like you were successful. I mean, you are successful. And then you had this huge moment. I mean, you had your own TV show, right? You were in some huge movies that you were the star of. But you've always been a little bit of an outsider because because there's an authenticity to you. And I say that as a compliment.
Thank you.
I say it as a compliment. You're not like a typical Hollywood guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was something about working there that was, other people would never have taken that job in my situation. Never. It would be slumming. There's a part of me that's really interested in other cultures. And that's a culture. That is a culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole world.
Mm-hmm.
It's a world of very damaged people, too.
Very much.
And it's not that different than the world of recovery people, which is I've noticed. It's people who've had a lot of trauma, and they've found a way to metabolize their pain into something. Now, I tended to work with. I'm not talking about some of the ones who just weren't able to do that, but I worked with some good people on that side. This isn't coming out the way I want it to. I'm having trouble finding my words, but I think they're just people, and we look down at them. And I think there was a part of me that looked down at them that I needed to humble myself, and that's why it was a good experience for me, because I came from an Ivy League school. It's upper class Jewish, Miami, prestige, all that crap. And here I'm in a world, right, with, for use of a better word, the drags or losers of society. That's how people see them. They feel sorry for them. They'll jerk off to them, but they'll feel sorry for them, and they put them over here. And it was a good experience for me to immerse myself in that world and learn, because you always have something to learn from people. And I wanted to pay tribute to some of the people that I met in that business in Finding Bliss. That was a big part of them. And you played one of those characters, because the character you played, Dick Harder, was such a lovable, right, naive, but lovable, good-hearted person. I met some good people on that side.
Mm-hmm.
This actually makes me think about, and I know I shouldn't talk about it, Ron Jeremy.
I know. You can talk about it. What are you going to say?
It makes me so sad.
Yeah, he's funny. He's a good actor. He was in the movie.
Yeah, he was.
But
well, I spent some.
He's a good rapist.
I don't know. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah.
That this is the thing. I stayed in a hotel room with him.
You did?
Yeah, this is why, I don't know if I should talk about this, but...
We can edit it out, but
you can edit it out.
It sounds amazing.
It is kind of I mean,
Go ahead.
What do I have to lose? I'm already burned down to the ground anyway.
You're not.
So when we went up to Sundance, he came. Because he was kind of like what the press wanted. They wanted, even though he had just a little part, he had like one scene.
He was one of the first crossovers. Like, Ron wanted to be, so people understand, he wanted to be a real actor. He's funny. He is a total 70s, early 80s look. He really was the original Dirk Diggler. But he just had this huge hog, and it was discovered, I think he told me in a urinal. Like, literally a guy looked over and he had it. He's like, really? And then...
That's actually not the real story. You're going to love the real story.
Okay. Well, his best joke to me ever, I was like, if
9 3/4.
Yes.
From the floor.
You ruined.
I'm sorry. Oh, I messed it up.
He goes like this. I go, is it true? Because I heard to ask him that, and he goes, what? It's 9 3/4. And if anyone ever tells you it's 10, no, he says 10 inches. Hold on, we gotta make this right. I go, is it true? And he goes, 10 inches. He goes, no, it's 9 3/4. And anyone tells you it's a 1/4 inch more is a liar. That's hilarious. Now, I can't say that. Can a person be a monster in one and funny in another? Both things can be true.
Well, I don't know if he's a monster, and this is the thing.
You should say it, because I liked Ron a lot, but you can't say that. But again, I'm not a young 16-year-old. Go ahead.
Look, I only can tell my experience.
Yes.
Right? And so I have to say that I knew him in 2005.
Tell me the real story, how he got in, and then go back to that.
Oh, the real story of how Ron got into porn was he was dating this woman. I think he was like,
put it a little closer to your mouth. That's
okay.
weird doing this segment.
Okay. So Ron, when he was, I think about 19, maybe 20, he was dating this woman. And she looked in the back of Playgirl magazine. She goes, oh, they're having like a contest, like longest penis or best penis or whatever, and you have such a big one. You should send a photo. And she took a Polaroid.
Mm-hmm.
And she sent it in. And he got a call, and they said, come out to L.A. We want to do a photo shoot with you. This is the story he told me. So it was a girlfriend sending in a Polaroid, and the rest is history. Now, what's really interesting is that what Ron did, his degree, he's a special ed teacher. I have a brother who's deaf and has a lot of, emotional problems and disabilities. So when I found out that Ron was a special ed teacher, that really hit my heart, because it takes a certain person to be a special ed teacher. Then when I found out that he played Chopin and was a really good classical pianist, something else that is a passion of mine, that really impressed me. And it was so incongruous with him being a porn star. And I was just a fascinating person, right? Because he was so completely unique in those ways. Had a great relationship with his parents. His parents were married until his mother passed.
He looked like a diamond dealer.
Yeah.
A guy you meet in the jewelry district.
Yeah. Now, was he a sex addict? Well, I mean, he's the biggest porn star of all time. He's had sex with thousands of people in thousands of situations. Why would someone who can have sex anytime, any place, be a rapist? I mean, these are just interesting. Who knows? All I know is in 2005, I worked with him on something, and he got frisky with me, and I said, stop it. I'm married. And he said, but...
Frisky how?
Okay, that's important. I don't know, he grabbed my butt. It's like he squoze my ass, right? And I said, stop it. I said, don't do that. I'm married. And he said, but that's like the same guy all the time. Don't you want to, aren't you into trying someone else? And I said, no. And he looked at me like I said, I ate babies. He couldn't understand. It was it was so unfathomable to him that someone would want to be monogamous and not be curious. And he said, okay, I respect that. I'm sorry. All right. And then he was like, can I just give you a little massage? This is just the way he was, right? And I said, well, yeah, you can rub my neck. It's sore. It was something like that. Then cut to Sundance. Okay. And he comes up there because he's going to promote the movie. And we're staying in a condo together at Sundance. Me and him, alone. Alone.
Whose idea was that?
Well, we were alone the first.
The budget was low.
Yeah, well, we were alone, I think, for one night. And then my parents were going to be coming the next day.
Did you offer him your room, or he offered you your room?
No, I had the room.
And Ron, you're like, Ron, stay with me.
And he had the couch.
But you were like, stay with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even remember. It was one condo and...
Very normal in Sundance.
Yeah. No, it was actually 2 bedrooms, but my parents were coming the next morning. And so he stayed on the couch. And there was low budget. And he's notoriously cheap. He didn't want to play for his own place.
Oh, yeah, he is big time.
So I remember it was that night before my parents came the next morning. They were flying in from Miami. It's already a sitcom. And of course, they never heard. My dad had heard of him. My mom had no idea who he was. So he said, can I give you a massage? It was it's the same old bullshit that he did 10 years before. And I said, yeah, you can, give me a massage. And so he was giving me a massage, and then he started to go down below my, I was lying down. He started to go down towards my butt. And
Are you dressed?
Yeah, I was totally dressed. And I said, stop it.
Okay.
I can laugh because it was silly. I said, stop it. And he's like, I'm sorry. And then I said, Ron, I'm married. Don't do that. And he said, I'm sorry. And he did the same speech again. He's like, but aren't you curious? And I said, you know what, Ron, I'm not attracted to you even if I was curious. And I'm not curious. And he's like, okay, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't offend you. I said, no, just why do you, and that was it. So this is my thing about Ron. If he was a rapist, right, it would have been really easy. Now, in a condo with nobody around, right? And he does try. Every time I ever met him, he was always trying.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way he is. Like he's a porn star. He's always, the way he communicates with people is through sex.
Mm-hmm.
That's his way of, like you doing stand-up comedy. His is, having sex.
Mm-hmm.
That's just his way of communication. I had to kind of figure it out because it was the strangest thing. He was always trying to, like, coming on to people on the set, but nothing. I can't imagine him raping. First of all, you could push him away. He had no strength. I can't imagine him ever forcing anybody. But what I can imagine, I know someone who had sex with him, and she said to me at the Whiskey, which is where he was supposedly raped a lot of people by the bathroom, and she said to me,
Whiskey or Rainbow?
I think it was the Whiskey. Maybe it was the Rainbow. And she said, we were friends, and one night he was back by the bathroom, and he was trying to have sex with me, and I kept pushing him away, and he just said, come on, and I finally said to him, okay, just stick it in. Now, I'm telling that story because that's not rape. And she is also upset by this because she was actually one of those girls who she's like, I could have said no, and I didn't, and
just stick it in.
She said that to him. Those are her words. Just stick it in and leave me alone. Now,
Jesus Christ, people
I never forgot that because
the new generation won't understand that. But hold on, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get in trouble. So she was like, so you guys treated him like a gnat. He was like a gnat.
Well, he wasn't that to me. I was like, stop it. What are you
doing?
doing?
No, but you stopped. But you didn't. He wasn't Bumblebee. Where you like, get out of my apartment. You're like, you little fucking gnat, get away.
Right, because he wasn't a threat.
He wasn't a threat. So, but she said, just stick it in at where you could go to the bathroom at the Whiskey, but it was private enough that you could just stick it in there, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, and I asked her.
Just stick it in.
I asked her after he was arrested, after it got really bad and he's never coming out of prison. Well, now he's demented. Now he has dementia. He can't even stand trial. It's so sad. I asked her again. I said, I'm just curious, like, how forceful was he with you? Like, what really happened? And she said, he wasn't. It was me. That's just what he did to people. And I don't think he's a rapist. And I think this is, so, I mean, I only know my own experience. He's not forceful. He's not a forceful guy. He's a horny 15-year-old boy in a man's body. And when you say no, he goes away. That was my experience. And for anybody listening to this who he really raped, I will, it's horrible. If it's true, it's horrible. I know that this was my friend, and there's mental illness there. There's definitely mental illness. There's definitely maybe a spectrum that he's on the spectrum. Not taking cues, like not taking social cues when a woman says, I'm not comfortable, or when a man knows when to stop. But forcibly raping someone, I just can't see it. I know him for too long and spent too much time with him. But
was your friend a porn star?
No, but she's definitely
open-minded.
Loose,
okay. You can say that. That's a dicey thing you weave, but you're a common sense person, and you're saying your experience, it wasn't that way. I mean...
am I going to get in trouble for saying that? I'm not saying that those people were lying. I'm just saying this was my experience, and when I see him with dementia, wearing those in the orange prison thing, it just makes me so sad.
No, you have a soft spot for him.
I do. I really do. We had some really good times together, and I think I think he has a good heart. And again, I do think there's some mental illness there with not being able to read cues and just something is a little off.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not a woman. I've worked with Ron a couple of times. He was the one guy from porn that would do comedies, and he was always been funny to me, and he's been a good guy.
Well, I brought it up because I saw him.
Yeah, he gave me his hot sauce.
Oh yeah, the hot sauce. Yeah,
He came to my birthday parties.
Yeah.
I never saw him do anything weird. He would always bring around a girl or two that was beyond of age that he was like, working in the business with.
And he had a girlfriend for years. She was a nurse.
He would fall asleep driving in his car.
He had narcolepsy.
Yeah.
But we don't have to use any of this. I mean, this could just be like totally off topic or another.
It could be, or I'll give you the choice of that. But hold on, I want to ask you one more thing because I could talk to you for 20 years.